Okay, so this is the only two. The only two that I didn't put down are the front and the back, because I wanted you to see how I was going to work around these tapes here. And we'll take the rest of the tape off when we get ready to put the cover on. Well, actually, when we get ready to put the ribbon on. Okay, just put this down. So this means that I've got all of those edges that were adhered down covered because the vellum shows. Now, if you don't use vellum, you don't have to do that. But I like the look. It's kind of cool. I wish I could back the camera up a little bit. Let me. Without the light, I think you can see better, actually. So I might keep the light off. So you see how that looks there? I like to use black mats. Very similar to what we did with the baby album, only there would be a black mat instead of a white mat. And then what I would use is my 1 3/8 punch to punch out black and white photos that go on top of the mat. And then the whole album would have the black mat in the photo, the black mat in the photo, the black mat in the photo. It looks really, really beautiful. I have already sold the ones I've done, so I can't show you an example. But so these pictures are taken from the Freedom Center and just printed out on white cardstock, right? And then where you wanted to add text, you could create a scenario where you print out the photo on one side and the text on the inside. So let's show you what this looks like. So I'm just going to take this. This is the key dates. So you learn very quickly what the timeline was for freedom, starting from when the first slaves were brought over from Africa. No slavery today, so it's not really completely over. It's just a different scenario. So I'm just going to put those stamping dimensionals down. And by using the stamping dimensionals, it's really easy to add these little pages of knowledge to my album. Okay, and so I can just add them. But it's really easy because of the Stampin' Up! Dimensionals. Okay, let's do another one. So I'm going to put the other key date here. But in the meantime, I'm going to go to the next page and I'm going to put down a map. So this is the middle passage between Africa and North America when the slaves were first brought here on those large boats. The stamping dimensionals make it easy for me to lay it down. And because I don't have to worry about seeing the back, I can actually reposition. This is a picture of, it's called the Raganon. And this, the pieces of it that are most interesting to me because they show that journey from Africa to North America and just how awful it was. People were actually committing suicide and jumping off the ship because the conditions were so horrible. And sharks would actually follow the ship from behind because they're waiting to eat. And then, you know, the situation was the way that the Africans were packed into these ships, it's estimated that literally millions died. Over 10 million were victims of forced passage on these ships. 10 million Africans were transported from Africa to North America on these ships. And at least 1 million would die this way. And so I think somebody had mentioned that if the Atlantic Ocean were ever completely dried up, the bottom would be covered in the bones of Africans. Very, very sad. They have a lot of artwork over at that Freedom Center, kind of depicting this horrific situation of that travel, that middle journey from Africa to North America and how horrible that was. So surviving that journey was bad enough. Never mind what comes next once they land here. So I'm just going to continue to put down some of this artwork that you can take pictures of if you visit the museum. This was a money thing, and these individuals were just property. This particular one that I'm putting down right now is a pamphlet letting you know there's going to be new Negro cargo coming in. Hurry up and come down and participate in that sale. So I'm going to continue putting those in, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got all of my elements in there. There's my key dates from 1850 all the way to 1834. I got my maps in there, a little bit about the transatlantic passage, a little bit about once they get off the boat, what happens as far as the sale of human beings, as far as the stocking of them in these human warehouses called slave pens. I've got pictures of key people like Harriet, Henry, who actually was rescued by hiding in a box. This is Ellen Craft. She's very interesting. If you don't know about her, look her up. Her and her husband, William, escaped by disguising themselves. She disguised herself as a rich white man, and her husband was her acting servant. So a very interesting story. This is a sad story. Margaret Garner, she killed her child to keep it out of slavery. Another story you should look up. So this is Dred Scott, and look him up again. I don't want to give you guys a lot of detail on this because this is a mini album, not a history lesson, but he tried to sue to get his freedom, and he was judged or told in court that he did not have the right to his freedom. And then finally, this is a piece of the 13th Amendment that overwrote that decision. So I'm going to go ahead and put the ribbon on now. So I'm going to remove all of the tape from the front and the back, put it on the binding, and then wrap it around. Okay, so I have tape both where I removed it here and on the back and the front of the album. And you can decide what you want to be the back. Mine are the same, so it kind of doesn't matter. They're just different orientations. And so the key here is just getting it lined up neatly. Now I don't have a lot of decoration on this cover or on the back, and the reason being is that when this album is in display mode, it needs to have its ends flat. So I don't want to have a whole lot of embellishments on the back or front cover because then it won't lie flat. Okay, so now that my front and back cover are on, now if I pull it open and tie the ribbon, and you can make it shorter or longer, whatever you need to do. You can add a charm too if you want to. Now it will stay open because of the cover being flat and the ribbon being there. And then when people look at this, they will look at it from the sides. Okay? And so I'm going to give you pictures because it's hard to show this at the angle the camera is in. I'll give you pictures. But I think you'll enjoy doing this star album. It's a lot of fun, whether you use bright colors or whether you use muted colors, whether you use the idea of the black mats or not. These are really fun to do. They're really quick. And in this case, I'm doubling it as an education, a chance to talk about history with your youth. Thanks, and bye-bye.